So the common theme in Kaavi art is mostly Vaishnava stories. The first thing is Dashavatar. Second story is stories from Bhagavat or Mahabharat and Ramayana. So here we have Vaman Avatar from the 10 incarnations of Vishnu, that is Dashavatar. You can see here, how do you identify Vaman is right up there is he is holding one umbrella. As we know in the story of Vaman Avatar, where Lord Vishnu, Bhagwan Vishnu comes in form of a batuk, which is a priest, and he meets Bari, the king, asking for him for a donation after his yajna, asking him for a land which could be occupied by his 3 feet. So the first feet he keeps on ground and occupies the whole Prithvi. Second feet he puts on sky, that is on a cloud, and he occupies the whole Akash. Third feet he has no place where to keep because he has occupied the land and the sky. So the Bali Raja, who is the king of the Asuras, says you keep it on my head because he has given him a word that I am going to grant you land which will be enough for his 3 feet. So then he puts it on his head. You can see it here. So Vaman is supposed to be a dwarf, but how would you know in an image that he is a dwarf? So always, since Vaman has come there as a bhikshuk, as in somebody, bhikshuk is like a monk or any person who is asking for any alms. So he always holds an umbrella. That umbrella you can see up there. So since these are monochromatic and single frame designs, we could see it in, say, a character like Vaman, where there were 2 things which was identifiable. One was the umbrella. Second was that he's kept his leg on Bare's head. But there are also characters where there is no typical iconography on how to identify them. Like this one here, which is Akrur. So how do we know that he's Akrur? Because if you just see the image, it looks like he is a random person standing or seated on a horse. He could be any warrior for that matter. So only way we know that he is Akrur is somebody who has made this, who has commissioned this artwork, had in his mind that there should be Akrur. So Akrur is a character from Bhagavat, and he is a messenger who comes from Kamsa's court to Vrindavan or to Gokul, taking his message. So you can see there, they have written Akrur. This was the job of the Sutradhars to narrate these stories for each visitors. So these stories were passed on from one generation to another. If at all this word was not written there, mentioning his name as Akrur, we would have never known what character they intended here. So it's a big evidence for us who are studying this that they have written this name. So this here again at this temple of Mahalasa Narayani at Kumta, we have one more unique deity represented here, that is Dattatreya. I think this must be only of its kind in Kaavi. I could be wrong. If anybody has any more evidences, please let me know. This is Dattatreya, who is he's a combination of Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma, and he is depicted with 3 heads, 6 hands, who are supposed to be having the ayudhas or any attributes of these 3 deities. So let me show you. He is holding, in his right hand up there, he is holding the chakra, which is a Vaishnava element. In the right hand, lower right hand, there is Kamandalu here, which is Ayudha of Brahma. Ayudh as in here not taken as a weapon, Ayudh as in any tool. Left and upper there, you can see a deer. Can you see that deer? So there is one small deer that he is holding, which is supposed to be a representation of Shiva, because in South Indian tradition, Shiva is always shown holding a deer like this in his 2 hands. So deer is the fastest running animal that people would see around them. So deer or hiran is a representation of Maya, Maya is an illusion, and illusions are very fast. So one who can control illusions is the Shiva, because he's the only true yogi, Adi yogi. So he controls his Maya, that is illusions. So they have represented that these concepts in form of an animal, which is deer. So in South Indian temples, you will always have Shiva shown like this, holding a deer in his two fingers. So what they want to suggest is that Shiva is so powerful, or he has such a control on this, he can just hold the Maya in two fingers. So that representation you see here. You can also see Shiva's Trishul. Here we have another interesting representation of Shiva, which is Panchanan Maheshwar. So Panchanan is because he has 5 heads. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is Shiva. On top, in his jata, you have Ganga. You see this here. So these are his 2 hands, upper hands. Here you have the Damru, a very typical identity of Shiva. This hand you have the Trishul. You see here, this is holding. This is his 3rd hand, that is holding Uma. You see here, this area. This is the face of Uma, Parvati. She's seated on his lap. This is one hand, this is another hand. This hand has Chandra. This hand has deer, you can see. This represents Maya. So here this is Mahadev with Uma and with 5 heads. So very interesting representation of Shiva that we get in Kaavi art.